Hello, it is Wednesday, January 4th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, USA, in the year 2022. This is my video journal. We're back on track with Wednesdays. And I have been systematically challenging the United States military to a pistol duel. So we'll start with that. We're down to the rank of private. So there's only one more rank, which is private, no insignia. We're private insignia. So we're on to the rank of private. If you've achieved the rank of private in the United States military, or its equivalent in any of the branches of the United States military, I challenge you to a pistol duel using non-lethal compressed air-powered paintball pistols. Since we do not have these prototypes, we will revert to a wrestling match using scholastic rules. If you win the duel, you will delay me challenging the next rank down in the military by 6 months. You will also receive a piece of my art valued at millions of dollars. Photography, film, paintings. If I win the duel, you must find money in your budget, which at this rank you probably don't have a budget, to fund my smart weapons company. The first task would be developing these non-lethal pistol compressed air paintball pistols to be distributed to the population strategically. I say strategically, it's to reverse the inequalities of the system we live in and the society we live in. If you cannot get that budget passed, you must use your own personal money to fund this weapons company, and in return you will receive a stock certificate giving you partial ownership over the company, and or a piece of my art valued at thousands or millions of dollars. That is all I have to offer you at this time. If you ignore, deny, refuse this challenge, you are first and foremost a coward, and secondly, the death and blood of any military action around the globe is on your hands for not validating and justifying this form of warfare, this form of modern warfare, a form of warfare that values marksmanship and hand-to-hand combat skills, two sets of skills taught to just about every military personnel around the globe. Okay, so now that's out of the way. As I said, we have only one rank left. It's private, no insignia. So that'll come next week. And then I'll open up the videos to whoever, and that'll probably come on the 12th. Another video. I'm not going to wait another week. Sorry, no insignia, privates. You have one day to respond to my challenge. So I know what you're thinking, right? I've said on my podcast, I've said here, I have a lot of ideas up in my head that I haven't put down on a digital device. I haven't handwritten down because I'm afraid the NSA could come in and read and take my ideas, or corporations, corporate espionage could come in, lockpick my house, read my journals, take my ideas. So I got a lot up here. So I know what you're thinking. You could resign from the military and live off the GI Bill, go to computer science school, and then contact me and not give up anything that you've signed an NDA on, but you could just contact me and say, I want to help you, and together we could build a technology company worth billions or trillions. But hold on to that thought. Don't resign yet. Wait until my last official military video next week, because I have a strategy that you could use if you're a ranking military personnel that could cover for all the mentally ill veterans out there, could help with them. So just stay tuned for that before you put in your resignation. You know, I always have a strategy, and then if you don't like it, I'm here. I'll hire you, or we can work together to build this company. I'm not looking to brain drain the United States military. That's not the goal here. I wanted to work with them. And on that note, strategy for Kill Switch Mitch, building our database of hackable vehicles here in Western Pennsylvania. Now that strategy, this winter strategy at my parents' house or wherever, it's more of a strategy for single or unmarried military personnel. I realize it's not family friendly, but I do have a planned family friendly version of installing kill switches in your vehicles, seeing how hackable they are. And that could be enacted at the end of this summer this year. I always look at the assets I have at hand, and I'll draw your attention to a Mr. Roy Waters. He's a safe cracker, safe mover, lock picker, locksmith. He's done work for the FBI, so I know he's on some kind of database. He worked for University of Pittsburgh as a machinist, and also had his locksmith safe cracking business, which was mostly off the books, so you could really probably strong hand him if you needed to, but I don't think we need to. Why I'm drawing your attention to him is he built a building in Central Florida. He also owns a couple houses there, inherited a house from his father, and he's building a new house, but he built a building in Central Florida. It's set up as a strip mall type building. It's a corner unit that has a living area, shower, everything, but you can add on either side to form an L shape and put different stores in. So he owns a plot of land with that initial unit on it, and you could build different store sections on, like 3 sections one way and 2 sections the other way, I think. So let's utilize this. That's what I'm saying. Let's either lease the building from him or buy the building outright in Central Florida. We build onto it, build car bays, vehicle bays to work on vehicles on either side. I can live part of the time in the apartment built into the building. We can hire technicians. We have the auto train out of just south of, or just next to DC. People from DC area, people from the Pentagon can take their vehicle on the auto train, come down to Florida, or you can do a family road trip. Bring your family, come to Orlando to Disney for family vacation. We will have someone drop off a large SUV that you can use during your vacation. We'll take your vehicle, your private vehicle. We will take it to the shop there in Central Florida. Our technicians, who aren't necessarily intelligence employees, because we know we don't really trust them necessarily. They could be independent contractors. We'll see how that works out. We will assess the hackability of your vehicle for our database. Now we can be doing 5-6 vehicles at a time. We will take apart the head unit, figure out how to install a kill switch for your speaker system in your car. We'll wire it into the glove box without affecting your camera view, your camera sensors and things, your backup camera, that whole assembly. We'll figure this all out. We'll install, if your head unit or anything in your vehicle has a Bluetooth connectivity situation, we will install a kill switch to the Bluetooth antenna. So you can kill the Bluetooth in the car so it's not syncing up to your phones. We all know we can't pull the batteries out of phones very easily. We can't, with confidence, shut off the Bluetooth. This will be an actual physical switch. You can shut off the Bluetooth antenna in your car. In addition, when you load up the car to come to Florida for your Disney vacation, throw in your wireless router for your house. Toss it in the car. You maybe have a couple. Toss in that wireless router. Bring it out to Florida. We will dissect, take apart your wireless router and wire in a kill switch so that you can shut off the wireless antennas in your routers. Reinstall that into your house. Now at night, if you don't want everyone exposed to Wi-Fi all night, just during the day when they're using their devices, now you can physically shut a switch off. Instead of going into an interface through Linksys that may or may not actually shut the device off, that anyone can hack into and turn it back on, now you can physically rest confident that your wireless router is shut off at night, shut off during the day, shut it off when you don't want the kids on it. So we'll put a physical switch in. I think all wireless routers should have a physical switch, and I have a plan to deliver that. But for now, for the military, let's put kill switches in everything we can and let you have your privacy and that you deserve for serving in the military. I know you're on call 24/7. Doesn't mean that when you have private time with your kids that the NSA should be able to listen to your conversations. It means you're on call 24/7. They can call your cell phone, call you into the base, call you into duty, bring you into active deployment, and then you are at the hands of whatever entities you have. But you should have leisure time, and let's deliver that. So that's my Florida plan. We can lease off Roy Waters. He has a building. We can build onto that. We can buy the building and get a large-scale platform for doing this through the next winter and get a bunch of vehicles with kill switches, a bunch of homes with kill switches, and build our database of hackable vehicles. So that's my proposal. So again, we can do this, get 5 or 6 or 7 vehicles done this winter, scope out mile marker 70 from my parents' house, and get some kill switches in some of these vehicles, some of these fleet vehicles even, see how hackable they are. And for all I know, the military already has a program like this, so we'll open it up on the 12th and see where we go with it. But it could be a viable business, a kill switch company in Florida. We can do the Florida government, state government vehicles, and that's why I'm talking about Florida. I am not going to write to the entire state legislature of Florida using my parents' address at their RV park in Florida. I've scrapped that idea. I'm not going to do that now that it's the new year. I don't want to get my parents in trouble for getting a bunch of mail and stuff from the Florida legislature. I don't want to draw a bunch of attention to that RV park at this point, so I'm not going to write to them. But if you are part of the Florida legislature and you do want to know if your vehicle is hackable, we can work out of Florida to deliver this. So contact me, contact the Pentagon, contact your Pennsylvania counterparts, and let's do this. Okay, so that's the Florida plan. Family vacation. This winter, maybe it's more geared towards single unmarried military personnel getting their vehicles inspected and kill switched up. I'll end with this idea I have. I talked about a genetics program for the city of Pittsburgh, for every major city, that genetically identifies everybody's dogs, and then there's a database that you can test dog feces on sidewalks, on streets, and it'll tag and bring up that dog and the owner, and you can fine the owner for not picking up after their dog. And that's the only genetics program I support at this time. It would show how it will be abused in the future, and so on and so forth. I've talked about this in a previous video. Here's my genetics program for Washington, D.C. You have the dog's genetic program there, but to take it one step further, it's a Masonic type twist on it. All these old historical houses in Washington, D.C., when they're being renovated, every contractor is alerted to call a number if they find horsehair plaster. Now, horsehair plaster is a base coat of plaster that they mixed horsehair in with to make it more versatile, I guess. I'm not quite sure what the I think it made it stronger and last longer. So if you come across horsehair plaster, you call a number, call on Mitch Miller and his team. We take samples of the horsehair out of the plaster debris, and we test it genetically and build a database for horses, historical horses, cross-reference it with the living lines of horses, and we build a historical database based off of the ownership of prominent horses, who own them, dating back, and find their relatives and how they were incorporated into different. We map out the different buildings around DC and match genetics with what horses came out of where and what horsehair went into where. So it's like a Masonic history genetics program. That's the only genetics program I approve for Washington, D.C. Takes it up a notch. It's an interesting project, and possibly maybe Masons started mixing horsehair into plaster because they knew that genetics was going to get out of hand, and this was a way to say, hey, let's do a retrograde, a historical building of interesting use of genetics before we move forward and start altering people's children's DNA, babies' DNA, so on and so forth, to make superhuman robotic people, and who knows how it's going to be abused. Let's take a step back and show interesting ways to use genetics instead of just pushing the limits of science with genetics as far as that goes. Now, I'm all for finding genetic diseases and things like that, and being able to develop tests so that we can see, so that we can diagnose things and find cures for them before people actually experience extreme symptoms from them. So there's a fine line of how genetics can be used in the medical community, but let's start a conversation by drawing attention to genetics programs and how they're used for punitive measures, historical context, things like that. So that's my interesting idea for DC. I think that's all I had to talk about for today. Join me next week for the final military edition of my video journal. Hopefully the military will strategically release these videos, but also will more widely release videos after the 12th, next Wednesday, so that we can get more people on board if the military isn't going to act on these programs I've suggested. Thanks for watching, and join me next week.